What's up, everybody? It's Anthony, the DJ, or DJ Anthony Wilderness Week Live. Hey, don't forget, I'm not a healthcare expert. Always check with the healthcare professional. I'm just giving my opinion. Okay, today's show, gun problem. Ooh, this is America. Do we got some gun problems? You tell me. You tell me. So let's talk about that. And you might be asking yourself, well, excuse me, I just had one of these like power cookie, protein cookie sports thing. I don't even know. Anyways, how you doing, by the way? So let's talk about gun violence. It's in the news again, and unfortunately. But how does gun violence, what does it have to do with wellness? What is it? What? It has a lot to do with wellness because if you get shot, you're dead. You're not alive. So that's a problem. That's a big problem. So I want to discuss that, especially as it pertains to ties into mental health and other things. So you know, it doesn't matter when you're watching this. Unfortunately, there seems to always be a mass shooting. I think they say every 30 days in our country, there's always a mass shooting. A mass shooting, I think, is defined as more than two people getting shot and dying. And so the recent one was, I think, 17. Uh, it's almost very sadly not even news almost. It's becoming that bad that we're all becoming desensitized to this. So what can we do about it? Because I don't want to talk to you about gun violence as just some like, you know, far away problem that has nothing to do with you or me. It has to do everything with us actually. And there's things we can do. Obviously, we're not the government, but we don't have ultimate power over things, but we can do stuff in our world and our families and our friends because I think we all know somebody who owns a gun, who has access to a gun. So let's start off with this. Um, when we hear about gun violence, okay, a gun is just an inanimate object. It has no power. You put a gun on a table, it's benign. It's nothing. A gun on the table is no more powerful than the table. It's nothing. It's a device. It takes a person to get the gun, put the bolts in the clip, put the clip into the gun. The gun is still not dangerous. Then you got to point it at somebody, still not dangerous. Then you got to pull the trigger. Now it's the problem. Now it's dangerous. So there's a lot of steps before a gun becomes dangerous. But a gun in and of itself is it's just metal. It's nothing. It does nothing. It takes the human to become dangerous. This is not an episode of Wellness Week where I'm not debating the Second Amendment and we have the right, shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. Just the facts here, just cold hard facts, right? A gun on a table, not being touched, so it takes the human. So I think the noise, I mean news, does a lot of disservice when they report or legislators or people debate saying, well, there is a gun problem. Obviously, the gun is part part of the problem. Yes, because the gun doesn't just float on its own and kill people. So, but the gun is there, right? It is part of the problem. The gun is the tip of the spear. The gun is the tip of the iceberg. 95% of that iceberg you're not even seeing. It's hidden. So that's the problem, though. Yes, the gun is part of the problem, but the bigger mass of this problem underneath the waterline is two things: family breakdown and mental health. That's it. And those are big problems. And both of those problems kind of they're parallel and possible and they do intersect, but they're separate. So first off, most gun deaths, hold your ears, you're not going to want to hear this, but most gun violence and most gun deaths are not the AR 15. Not even close. They don't make most gun deaths are not because of AR 15s. Yes, there are gun deaths because of AR 15s, but most aren't. Sorry to let you down here. Most gun deaths, and again, I'm not saying I'm pro gun or against gun, but just the facts. Most gun deaths are handguns, 9mm guns, 45mm guns, 23, 32s, whatever, but they're handguns. Most overwhelmingly, probably 90 something percent of gun violence is handgun death from inner city, gang violence, some domestic disputes, some suicides, but they're handguns. They're not assault rifles. They're not shotguns. Yes, shotguns and assault rifles do play a small part. But overwhelmingly, most of the gun violence in our country is handgun. Most of it is street violence, gang on gang, drive-bys, things like that, drug dealings, things like that. Funny, nobody cares about that though. They only care about the 1% of the AR-15s, and baffles me. But tens of thousands of people die every year, or thousands and thousands die every year, not from the AR-15, from the handgun. So we should start with that. Now, the handgun violence has to do with the family breakdown. It coincides, it locks together gang violence, street violence. That's because of family breakdown. When you have a family unit intact, when you have parents, a family, you don't have gun violence, or very, 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 very little. So the family unit, when it's alive, when there are two parents at minimum, and of course you need grandparents and aunts and uncles, it takes a village, but when you have a community, but particularly that unit at home, two parents, and honestly, it could be a mother and a father, it could be two mothers, it could be two fathers, but when you have that unit that is watching those kids daily, involved in their life daily, parents, plural, not a parent. And yes, I understand you can be a parent. And I know a lot of single parents, and the kids are not shooters. They're great kids, and they go on to become astronauts and doctors. But that's the exception to the rule. When you look at the violence in the streets, 99% of the time, it's family breakdown, single homes, and those people aren't bad people, but you need a team. And so that's the street violence, where the gun problem is. It's really a family problem. It's the breakdown of the family. And when you address that, then the gun problem goes away. So the gun problem is really just a headache, but the family breakdown is the brain tumor. So making it about guns is like making it about the headaches. So take some, take some Advil, and that's the problem. No, you got to get the tumor out. You got to address the family, the breakdown of the family. That is the problem. That's for gun violence, most of the gun violence. Then you have the AR-15 violence. That's mental health. That is, yes, they're crazy. They've lost it, and also a minutia in there, a layer that you need to know. Just because someone has a mental health problem does not mean they're going to be a mass shooter. 99.99999% of people with mental health problems are of no danger, nothing. They're if anything, they're more dangerous to themselves. Get suicide and things like that. They're not going to shoot up people and things like that. So we're talking about less than 1% of people with mental health issues. But yes, you do need to be mentally unstable and mentally unhealthy to be a shooter. So it's causation, but not correlation, if that makes sense. And so, but yes, all mass shooters, 99.99999, have mental health issues. Of course, you could just be pure evil. That's true too. But usually it's you're mentally ill. So that is a mental health problem. And yes, I'm sure you can sprinkle mental health issues with the street gang violence and handguns too, of course, because again, you have handgun violence and people are offing themselves with suicide and stuff like that. Domestic disputes, of course, that's a mental health also. But usually the gang violence and street violence, that's more because of the family breakdown, which you can make the argument that could be mental health too, but it's more family breakdown. AR-15s, that's more mental health, generally speaking. So that's the two camps. But what can we do about that, right? What can I do? What can you do? Well, we can do a lot. And we can do a lot by being aware, by our friends, our family, our colleagues, our neighbor. Like I can tell you right now, even myself, multiple times in my life so far, I have intervened and spoken up, and did a private call to friends, people that I was worried about, that I knew had guns, or that I knew they just mentally not doing well. And it doesn't mean they're crazy, because we all have moments in our life, right? Depression and sadness, and people can break, people can lose it for a moment, and they're not crazy. They they make bad decision, right? Or someone's going through a season of mental unhealthiness. I don't like to say mental illness or crazy because that's non-starter. Let's be mature about it. If you have a brain at some point in your life, if you haven't already, you're going to go through some mental health problems. And again, doesn't mean you're going to be a shooter. Now I'm talking about the AR-15 shooter thing, okay? But even gang stuff, right? If you know someone's getting involved in gangs and drugs and running the streets, like my point is, we all can make a difference in our own circle, okay? And that is, so I interviewed a few times in my life with people that I was worried about, and I was like, hey, you okay? Like, not just ask okay, not like, hey, my door's always open, not that douchebag comment, but like actively, like, hey, I want to take you out for lunch, or I want to take you out for coffee. Let's go get a drink, or hey, let's go for a walk. Like, what's going on, man? It doesn't have to be a best friend. It could be a colleague, an acquaintance. It could be your neighbor. It could be a family member. Whatever it is. But like, being aware. Don't just be so trapped in your own fucking world. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. We're all busy, but damn, like we are all on the front lines of this, and we all have to take responsibility. I'm not saying massive responsibility, but a 0.5% responsibility. We all are responsible for this gun violence stuff in a tiny little way. Some more than others, but like for instance, I had someone I knew. They were mentally unstable. It was clear, like they weren't running around naked, but all right, something's not right. And I know this person had firearms, and I check in on this person. Hey, man, like, something simple like that, and if you suspect something that's, more than you can handle, then you call the appropriate people, the therapist or the rabbi or the priest or, the police, something. I'm not saying you're responsible for the person, you're not their mommy, but in a small way, we are responsible. If you hear something, say something to the person, communicate with the people. Just need sometimes just a person to talk to, and you have that power. I have that power. So are we going to save everybody? No, we're not. But wow, you could help tilt the tide. And I know I have on many accounts. I had another friend that was involved in drugs, and I went to AA with this person. I don't drink. I never drank in my life. I've never been drunk. I've never been buzzed in my life. But I physically went with him. I'm like, bro, we'll go into AA. He was embarrassed. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to come with you. You know what I'm saying? And I went for the first meeting. I didn't have to be there. And I'm not saying, look at me, I'm great. But all I'm saying is, if this DJ from New Jersey can do it, you can do it. Why not? I'm not fucking anybody special. Like, but we all have a responsibility to take care of our own little tiny corner of the world. You know what I mean? So a cousin, a friend, a parent, a brother, sister, an acquaintance, a colleague. Hey, it could be just something like, hey, can we go I want to talk to you, man. Are you okay? Like, you don't got to solve their problems, but and if you are hearing something that's really crazy and they're talking about doing some crazy shit, yeah, you don't have to go arrest them, but you got to talk to your manager, talk to their husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. Again, I'm not saying you got to put a cape on and solve everything, but yeah, we do have a responsibility to make a call or if you have to, call the police if things are really getting fucking crazy and like this person's talking about doing some dangerous shit. Again, I'm not saying that you have to be the cop, but you can anonymously call the cops or anonymously call NA or AA or go. Again, it doesn't have to be the person's going to shoot things up. It could be just they're sad, they're depressed. You know what I mean? Like, we all have, and you don't know if you nip it early in the butt. Doesn't have to, or the person might get violent and beat up their partner or something. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be just the shootings. It could be just, or the person might hurt themselves. They might commit suicide. I know people who've committed suicide, and unfortunately we can't save everybody, but we can save some people. You have the power. I have the power. And again, no one's saying you have to be God or the SWAT team, but we all have a tiny responsibility here. And to act like, I don't know, nothing I can do, thoughts and prayers, like that's fucking childish. Like, there is something that we can do, and again, it's 0.5% we can do. Well, then do it. You know what I mean? And don't act like, well, I did it 2 years ago. It's no. Well, if you see something now, again, I'm not saying you got to go to court and get involved and be at the head of this thing, but as a friend, if you see a friend or an acquaintance or a colleague, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying walk the streets and like look for people, or maybe you should volunteer. Maybe you'd be great to volunteer at the suicide hotline, or maybe you'd be great to volunteer at your church or synagogue or mosque. Maybe you got that you can help people. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But even if it's just, calling a friend like I did. Hey, man, are you okay? Like, hey, I'm fine. Well, you know what? I'm taking you out for lunch tomorrow, or let's go out for coffee tomorrow, please. And I'm asking you watching, Don't be that person that's like, yeah, they know I'm there for them. Yeah, my door's always open. That's so fucking douche. It's sub, it's passive aggressive. You're better than that. Listening to this, like, you invite them out for lunch. Invite them out to the house or something. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not even talking about mass shooters now. I'm talking about just people that are hurting. They're lonely. Like, these are all mental health things, and you nip things in the butt early. And again, I'm not saying you have to be somebody's mommy or daddy. And by the way, this pertains more to men than women. Of course, women can suffer with mental health, no doubt. But let's look at what's going on here. Let's be honest. Who are the mass shooters? Who are the gangbangers? 99.9% is boys and men. You know what I mean? So again, if you hear a woman suffering, of course, help them too. But look at the look what's out there. You know what I mean? So and women suffer too, and we have to be cognizant of our sisters, our aunts, our mothers, our girlfriends, our wives, our partners. Like, definitely don't assume like it's only guys. No, it's not only guys. Women too, of course. Our children, our nieces, our nephews, our sons, our daughters. So we got to be just more aware, And I'm not saying I play it perfectly, but when I have intervened a few times, and I know I got 2 saves under my belt for sure. And I don't assume that those saves are, I hope to God that those saves that I had made will and are helping those 2 people for the rest of their lives. But they may fall back into something, mentally ill. I hope not. But if I have to do it again, I'll do it again. Hey man, you okay? I'll check in. And then, I'm always listening and watching for new friends or family or whatever. And I hope people would do the same for me. Like, if they see me down, again, I'm not even talking about mass shooters now. I'm just saying, like, you're down and out. Like, hey man, you okay? Like, I would want acquaintances or friends or family to do that for me, check in on me just to check in. And people do. I'm very grateful for it. So, the shooter thing is an extreme. Most people, again, none of us are none of us are shooters or that, but I think it highlights the mental health problems and the breakdown of the society and family that we have, and you know what can we do? You know what I mean? Like, also, if you see a family where maybe they're struggling, it's a single father home or single mother home, and you're a friend, like, maybe take them out to lunch, the family, or check in. And I'm not saying you got to adopt people, but you know, we have to do better than just act like the problem is over there somewhere and it has nothing to do with me. It has something to do with all of us. Again, half of 1%, you know? So I'm doing my best, my part, keep an eye out, keep an ear out, be proactive, again, with the people that we know and love, and I understand we can't save everybody, but I think we have a responsibility, half of 1% responsibility, just lean in a little bit. And hey, I'm thinking about you. Just how's everything going? If you know someone's going through a divorce or lost a job or lost a loved one, and again, I'm not saying they're gonna become a mass shooter, but I'm just saying, so, but these all intersect, intertwine, or can be parallel. But that's, so when we talk about these mass shootings, they're mental health problems and or breakdown of family problems, which is kind of a mental health problem. So we're Americans. We are a great country. We are better than this. I can't believe this is happening where this doesn't happen in some other countries. It seems like America leads the way in this, and I think we can have legal, Second Amendment gun rights. We can have that. And we also can have little, very, 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 very little mass shootings, whether it be gang violence mass shootings, which is most of the mass shootings, or the AR-15 shootings. I think we can have little of those. There's no way, like it doesn't have to be like this. We can have our Second Amendment protection, legal guns, and we can have very little gun violence, where you hear about it once every 10 years instead of once a month. We can do that, but there has to be better mental health and better safety nets to help families out, single family homes out, because it's we're Americans. We're better than this. We can do it, and it starts with us. It starts with me and you. Yes, the government has to play their part, but we can't abdicate our responsibility. And we like to do that. Yeah. It's over there. It's those people. It's those. No. It's all of us, half of 1%. So I know, like I said, I have 2 saves underneath my belt, and again, not that they were gonna go out and shoot, and nobody shot anything, nobody did anything, but I think that's because of early intervention, prior. And like I said, one person was on drugs and the other person, didn't do anything with their gun, but multiple people got involved. You know what I mean? And so, well ahead of it, so there was no issues, and that's nice. That's a good save. You know what I mean? And again, it doesn't have to be gun violence. It could be just you're helping somebody who's hooked on alcohol. You know what I mean? And so don't forget, people get into cars, right? What do? They hit other people and they kill too. Automobile can be a weapon. So it just there's a lot we can do, and I think that we're all born babies, we're all born neutral. We're all that when we're 1 day old, when all of us are 1 day old, when we're just born, we're all just neutral, innocent beings. And then something happens, right? We start to get older and we have to nip this in the butt, because by the time someone does something dramatic, is doing gang violence or shooting up a, a place, you think that happened overnight? You think that violence, that evil, that craziness just happened out of the blue? That was metastasizing like cancer for years, not even months, for years, years and years. So we all have a part in this. And again, I know that we can't save everybody, and I know bad things happen. I'm not Pollyannic, but there's a lot we can do. And to act like I can't do anything, come on, man. Like I said, we're Americans. We're better than that. We can do this. We can have that Second Amendment, and we can have very, 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 very the lowest gun violence on earth. We can do that. We can do that. That can be done, and that's how we can start. Start with us, so to look out for each other, and just keep an ear out again. So I know you can do it. I'm trying my best. You're trying your best. So, anyways, thanks everybody for listening. And I have links below for mental health numbers, free help, things like that. I highly recommend everyone on earth, if you can. I know not everybody can, but most people can get a therapist. Even just to talk about normal stresses. 988 is a national number if you're really feeling like the shit's about to hit the fan in your brain, your mind. That's a free help number. There's other numbers that you can call and get anonymous free help. So it's out there. You know what I mean? And sometimes we have to do that for somebody. Like I said, I did it he wasn't even my friend. I stepped in. I'm like, we're going to AA. Shut the fuck up. We're going. And I took him. And who am I? Like I said, I'm not Superman. And he went and he got help and he's better. You know what I mean? So sometimes we got to step in. But we have to lead. You can't just say, I think you should go. Like, no, go with them, or go to church with them, or mosque with them, or town we're going, or we're going to talk to the therapist together. You have to lead sometimes, and if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. Hey, you can't, you know what I mean? But anyways, there's a lot we can do, and I believe in you. I want the best for you. The best is yet to come. And yeah, best is yet to come. Thanks, everybody. Check back in. Great content coming up and all that jazz. And hit the like, subscribe, share it with somebody. We got to get our numbers up. Okay. I am signing off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye.